During World War II, the United States Army was forced to move all over Europe and to do it on roads that were rutted, muddy, narrow, and dangerous, especially when it came to small bridges. So when they finally got to the point where they were about to conquer Germany and hit the Autobahn, which was the German freeway system, Eisenhower was really impressed. He could move his troops effortlessly, none of the mud and muck, just clean, fast, efficient. So when he came back to the United States, he was eventually made president, he always kept it on his mind that he wanted to do that for the United States. Not for the convenience of the citizenry to move around in their automobiles, but more for the strategic advantage that if we were ever attacked, that we could move supplies and soldiers and guns to wherever we needed them to defend the country. It's been a tremendous gift to the United States because it's grown to the point where we can go anywhere we want with a modicum or very little inconvenience, very little traffic, with the exception of California and New York, but throughout the rest of the United States, it's been just a wonderful, wonderful system. Well, I'd like to propose a similar system right now. It would be a system of large underground pipes suitable to take water from one location and move it to another location. As I sit here right now, there are places in the United States that are desperate for more water. There are places in the United States that have too much water on a temporary basis in some cases. In some places it's ongoing for a while. What if we could take the water from, say, snow runoff up in Minneapolis and take it to Arizona or California? What if we could take those floods that work their way down the Mississippi, and as they go down the Mississippi, we could suck water out of them so that by the time they got to New Orleans, instead of them causing a real problem down there or in some areas down the Mississippi, we could remove a lot of the floodiness, if you will, and get that water elsewhere. And what if in the doing of that, in the movement of the water, we could filter it, kill any animals or fish or anything that's being sucked along so we don't transplant problems. We could make it so that it could be used by farms and businesses, or put it through an additional filtering for bathing, swimming pools, drinking. We could use great areas of the government land, there's government land in every state, to create huge holding ponds, or lakes, as you will. Also, we could use it to lower the water levels in areas that are anticipating big storms, like, for instance, the hurricane that had just absolutely destroyed New Orleans. Had we lowered the water table, or not the water table, but the water in Lake Pontchartrain, and maybe even in the Mississippi River somewhat, we could have ameliorated or reduced the amount of damage to New Orleans. Because New Orleans really wasn't damaged by a hurricane, it was damaged by a flood. And sometimes we blame a hurricane when it really wasn't the hurricane that did the damage. in my state, we've had a lot of hurricanes, and the worst one we had, to my recollection, is the flooding that occurred. It wasn't the wind damage. It has never been, in my opinion, the wind damage. It's always been the flooding. So I propose the Grnadpa Don standard, which would be an 8-foot pipe, and it would carry water at about 20 miles an hour. If you did that, one pipe. Now, I'm sure down the road, engineers would improve upon this. The water would go faster through the pipes. Bigger pipes would be used. By the way, 8-foot pipe is about the height of the average home's ceilings. That would be the diameter of the pipe. I think we should look into it. I think moving water around the United States is a must-do for the future. Our aquifers are being abused. This would stop that because we could move water any place we wanted it. We could set up a number of these like fingers going down the Mississippi. And we could keep sucking water out of a flood. Because a flood goes down a river much like a bus. You have the front end, and then the bus, and then the rear, or a car, and it just goes down the river. And as it would move down the river, we could start sucking water out of it, and as it moved further, we'd suck more water out of it, and we could move that water any place we wanted. We could store it any place we wanted. We could filter it. We could do anything we wanted to it. It sounds expensive, but it wouldn't take up land, because we could go to a farmer, for instance, and cut a trough in his land, lay the pipe, and fill it over. All we'd show for a pipe would be the pump station every few miles or whenever it's needed, and it would filter, and there'd be some guy come and pull the filter out, I guess, and clean it and put it back in and take that goop or whatever comes out of it. It might be worth money as fertilizer. Who knows? But the point is, moving the water could protect some of the areas. Because like up in the Northeast where they had this flood, there wasn't that much water involved. It's the nature of the hills that force it down into the valleys. And if we had large drains down there sucking the water out, as that water came down, most of it could be sucked out. The insurance companies would love it. And insurance rates could go down. If insurance rates go down, the people are happier because you're paying less to insure your home. I think it's a concept absolutely worth discussing. Here's another couple of numbers that might help clarify it for you. One Grnadpa Don pipe could do 35,000 acres. 35,000 acres a day with 1 inch of water. That could take care of a lot of corn. Also, LA requires 75 million cubic feet a day. One pipe could more than take care of that, so that LA could become profligate with their water use and still be okay. This is a pretty good idea, I think.